The Red Wings are home this week. Thursday is Pride Night with fireworks. For tickets, visit redwingsbaseball.com.
Cobblestone on Main. They are in Webster. Oh, delicious. Everybody I know who goes there absolutely loves it. And I've talked about the bar food, like the best nachos because they don't get soggy. And I like eating at the bar, I think more because and I will do this from time to time, go out by myself and have dinner. And I'll eat at the bar. Go ahead and look at me like it's
because you're an alcoholic.
No, because I'm by myself and I sit there and I know the owner and there's always friendly people around and it's just a great atmosphere.
I'm gonna put the neighborhood's we're gonna go out some night. All the neighborhood parents, and kids, and people. We're gonna go out to Cobblestone.
I mean,
have a big old.
The
dinner.
food is. I mean, look, they do everything from steak tacos with pickled red onions. I love that. They had a great pork chop special not too long ago. The food is phenomenal.
Was fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. Kevin has been there a few times. Cobblestone on Main. You'll find them at 109 West Main Street in the Village of Webster. They are ready and waiting for you. They even have a party room, and it's great because it has its own entrance. And I say that because when you're walking through a restaurant trying to get to a party room, whether you have your own cake or balloons or whatever, it's a pain in the neck. You can do that right through its own entrance at Cobblestone on Main. You'll find them online at cobblestoneonmain.com, or you can always give them a call at 585-626-4450. It is Cobblestone on Main.
When your old career gives you lemons, throw in some ice, mix in some vodka, and call it a podcast. From the Mac of All Trades studio in Fairport and driven by Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, it's Billified, the Bill Moran Podcast.
Well, hello and welcome. Thanks for getting your pod on. Thanks for telling a friend. That's how we spread the word about the pirate ship. Thought we'd do a little bonus episode as we head into the holiday weekend, America's birthday. And this is kind of a unique situation. There's a big window outside the studio, and Dr. Ferris was, I believe, going to the dry cleaner to pick up dry cleaning. And he came back in and he walked in one day and said, "What is this place?" And so we started talking, and I said, "Why don't you come back? We'll sit down and chew the fat, see what's happening." Dr. Ferris is a chiropractor.
Yes, sir.
What is the name of the business, the chiropractic business?
So name of chiropractic is Modern Chiropractic and Pain Relief.
Okay.
Yep.
So just try to stay right on that mic a little bit.
Right
there.
here.
There you go. And so what is the big thing that you see for people? Because there are people that worry about chiropractic, and should physical therapy be better? Should they work in conjunction with each other? Who should be going to a chiropractor? And I'm assuming the answer is going to be everybody.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I like the intro, too, regarding bringing the physical therapist into it, because I do think we should all be working together.
Yeah.
And, who should be going to a chiropractor? The joke inside the industry is anybody who has a spine.
Yeah, right.
So we're advocating what I call spinal hygiene. Very, very similar. We would all probably agree on dental hygiene.
Yep.
Right, getting the warranty out of our teeth, and we know to do that, we do preventative care, we brush, we do these types of things prior to a problem.
Right.
And I think chiropractic is very similar. We have one spine, it's designed to get us through our lifetime, and it needs care. So it just needs wellness and care.
Well, it's funny you say all that because my mom just had spinal surgery. So she has had a problem in her lower back, and then pulling herself into my truck, herniated some discs in her upper neck, and they started pressing on the spine. So she had gone to two different surgeons, one in Albany and one down by New York City, because that's where she lives, down in between both those areas.
Yep. And
she decided that she would have the surgery and just do one disc, and they went through the front and they put a plate in. And this was beginning of, I would say, like early June, like June 12th or 11th or 12th. And she's still in some discomfort and stuff in recovery of that. But she was losing the pincher grip, right?
Yes.
The thumb and forefinger. And look, the opposable thumb, you lose that. I mean, you're as good as, any other beast on the planet. You need that.
Yeah.
So she's been kind of pressing to get back and see what that is. And I think that I've learned from watching my mom how important stretching is. and how important, as you're saying, spinal hygiene is. So what would spinal hygiene, I mean, we all know what hygiene is, and as you brought up the analogy of brushing your teeth, every night I floss, right?
Yep.
I water pick, not pick my nose, water pick, and then I brush my teeth with an electric toothbrush that has a timer for 2 minutes.
Yeah. And
so, I mean, in terms of that, what do we do for our spine?
Well, you really hit on it. And when it comes close to home, that's when we pay attention, whether it's with somebody that we care about or if it happens to ourselves. But as soon as there's spine entrapment, it leads to primarily 3 different things. Well, one is pain, of course, but then motor function and sensory. So when you see the opposable thumb, something we've used our whole lives, and now picking up a cup of coffee, as an example, is difficult, that's when we really realize, wow, I need to be taking care of my nerve system. So back to spinal hygiene. Yeah, when I consider that, I think you brought up a key word, flexibility and stretching.
Yeah.
Absolutely important. And people can really take control of that themselves. You don't really need the chiropractor or the physical therapist.
Well, I would say yes, but we're all better in life at no matter what we're doing with a coach.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And so I feel like with a chiropractor, physical therapy or something, they can show you the things to do and the right way to do them so they're the most beneficial to you.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point.
I would think that probably your goal when someone comes in is maybe to not have them come as frequently, right? To make them as healthy as possible.
Yeah, exactly. We would try to get people independent of us or in a relationship such as a coach. Come in when we need to take a look at how you're stretching, what are you stretching, what are the key muscles. Let's focus on the key muscles. And then also, as far as the traditional chiropractic adjustment, that enables a person to have the disc life, like get the warranty out of their disc because it brings in the fluid into the disc. The primary problem with spinal breakdown is the fluid. Think of the disc as a shock absorber. Yeah. And so it functions well typically as we're younger, and over time it goes through life. But once that disc loses its hydration, the bones come together, which is where the nerve lives, right? And that's what presses on the nerve. So yeah, from a coaching standpoint, from a chiropractic adjustment standpoint, just bathing the disc or hygiene is how I referred to that earlier. That's really how we at least give ourselves.
You're making my lower back hurt. I have a herniated disc from college in my lower back.
Do you?
And then I put on a couple pounds, and I can feel it. So I've been really, really disciplined, for the past week maybe, but I've dropped some weight and stuff, and I can notice that. But I'm stretching every morning, and I'm walking every morning, and then I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. I try to work out if I can twice a day in some moderation, right? But that lower back, and I've gone to a chiropractor, that pop you get.
Yes.
Where at first it's like this, and all of a sudden you go, oh, and it's like, oh. Is that the fluid? What is that?
You know what that is? And
I don't.
And people do ask that question quite a bit. What is the noise? It's noisy. Well, it's air in the joints. Think about your knuckles. If you crack your knuckles, they make all the popping noises. Yeah. That's just air leaving the joint. So within 20 minutes, it's back in there. And so it's just air popping a joint. So it's really not much about the noise, actually.
But it's a relief.
It is. So there's a principle, and I'll get technical for a second, and then I'll put it back into normal terms. Yeah. But there's something called nociceptors, which is pain, is overridden by mechanoreceptors. So mechanoreceptors override nociceptors. What that means is motion mitigates pain. So in other words, nociceptor means pain. Yeah. Mechanoreceptor means motion. So think of it like this, and I'll bring it back to the pop. If you ever, let's say a person has hit their thumb with a hammer as an example, the first thing we do is shake our thumb. And all of a sudden you don't feel the pain as much because the motion is overriding the pain. So back to the adjustment and the popping. When we put motion into the spinal segment, which is housing the nerve, that motion can override the pain. Does that make sense? So motion in the human spine is absolutely critical. And the problem is most of us think we have motion because we're moving around and we're ambulatory and we say, well, I've got good motion.
Try to stretch. Try to bend over and touch your toes. How much you doing?
There you go. Exactly. And it's intersegmental motion, which is where I think the chiropractic adjustment has made such a contribution, is it's getting motion into the intersegmental, like local spine, if that makes sense.
So, and then how, does that help the fluid then stay there?
Correct. So that's the beauty of it. So that keeps the disc hydrated. You've heard of degenerative disc disease?
Yes.
And probably the story you mentioned with your mother had something, I'm thinking, to do with degenerative disc disease.
Yeah.
And that's the fluid inside the disc. So yes, the adjustment helps keep the fluid in the disc. So do other things like spinal decompression, and physical therapy, of course, is putting people through motion. All of that is like a cumulative effect into what I would call spinal hygiene.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. This is kind of fascinating because when you think about it, everybody wants to live a long time.
That's right.
Until you just don't have the function. And I think at that point you get frustrated. I'm going to be talking to somebody about biohacking, right? And there's a lot of people now that are doing things now. They're very rich people. But there's one guy who's he's a multi-billionaire, 45 years old, and he's putting $2 million a year into trying to lower his biological age. Wow. And he's done it with his heart, and he's done it according to whatever. I don't know how you figure this stuff out. I'm too dumb. But they say he has the heart of a 37-year-old, the lung capacity of an 18-year-old, the skin of a 28-year-old, but all that stuff. But like, who has $2 million? You know what I mean? If you're married and you're a guy and you spend $2 million on you, your wife is gonna fucking kill you, man. So we gotta, but to be able to keep moving, right? And still at 90, look, you see some people at 90 and you go, wow, okay, I want to be like that. But if I'm all hunched over and I've got bad posture and I've been sitting at a desk and now we've got keyboards and then I'm sure you're seeing like text neck now and all this stuff. That it probably is very beneficial to go and just get yourself adjusted.
Man, you're hitting on the key topic. If you were going to bottom line the conversation, it's about that staying active.
Yeah.
Right. I remember my first day of chiropractic college, brand new, wide-eyed, sitting in the audience. And they brought in a gentleman, an old Italian guy. He was a trailblazer in the profession.
Okay.
And so he was well respected and pretty much wrote the books and everything. He went up to the microphone at the beginning of his lecture and in an Italian accent, he said, "Movimento is life," or something to that effect. And here we are 17 years later now as a practicing chiropractor, and that was the truth of the whole matter, is how do I stay moving and active and pain-free, really.
Right.
So kind of back to what you just said, life is beautiful, life can be fun until you start realizing it hurts. And that, right? And then,
well, when it hurts, we don't want to do things.
Exactly.
So then we're not moving as much.
That's the downward
And that's where
spiral.
I would say, if you can get, let's say you go see Dr. Ferris, he pops the air out, gets the fluid moving a little bit. Now it's up to you. I think we can't just go, well, the chiropractor, you got to move. Get out there. And now if you feel better, take that walk, right? And then, or take that jog or do whatever, and then go back again and get adjusted and keep moving yourself. And
and do the stretching too.
Yeah.
And will recall the conversation. So you started off the podcast today saying we have this big window, and Dr. Ferris popped in. So I remember I just popped in on a whim that one day, and you were gracious enough to have that conversation. But we got into a conversation that day about discipline. Remember that?
Yes.
We were talking all about discipline, and it's like just doing what you should do, regardless of if you want to or feel like it. And so, you're right. We need to be stretching every day.
Right.
We have to take that 15 minutes and stretch and walk and do those things.
So to that point, I always think like you're right. And I think that I probably said this to you, and I've said this, and people are going to hear this a lot because, over the next couple of days, we'll run some podcasts that nobody has heard before, but they're with people who have done amazing things. Some people have done amazing things. And the word discipline keeps coming up. And I say, Discipline, I always think, is like one of those words that kind of makes you almost like you bit into a lemon. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know that feeling like you go, what the fuck? I got to be disciplined. I got to grind down. And that doesn't mean that you can be willy-nilly and not do it. You need to have the focus to do it. But I would say, can we change that to I get to?
There
because
you go. I love that.
And the only reason I say it that way is right now, I bet you my mom would be wishing, hey, had I taken some spinal hygiene along the way, would I not be where I am now? Yeah. And so I would say she doesn't get to, but I get to. And if the point is to learn from others' mistakes, right, or learn how I know what I want, know what I don't want, right? Yeah. So let's go for what I want. And you got to change that to I get to. I've been going on YouTube in the morning, and this is true. And I found an 8-minute stretching routine for people who are stiff. Okay, because I am. I mean, my hamstrings are tight, and I know that's part of the reason I have pain in my lower back.
Right.
And so I've been doing these stretches like every day, this 8-minute stretch, and I can feel myself now where I'm going, I don't know if they're working as much because I'm getting a little looser. Now, I stretch a lot. I mean, I instruct boxing, and when I do, I'm always stretching. But most of that is me. It's not me participating as much anymore. It's me, mitts, telling you what to do, how to hit the bag, focus, movement, that kind of thing. But it's not actively doing the stuff, and that's what I think I need to get back to. However, the stretching I find so important.
Yeah, so an 8-minute routine is great, and it can be done in micro doses like that. I really love the word though, that little twist, super powerful. I get to do this.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like I think you have to change that. I think for everybody, there's no. Look, life never stops coming at you. You're going to feel overwhelmed. But if you stop and you go, yeah, but how exciting is this, right? Mm-hmm. How great is this? I mean, I was kind of feeling that way, and not to say too much, but we're taping this on the day that my son arrives, and I've got him, and I don't have my place as clean as I'd like it to be. I mean, it's never that messy, but just as I've gotten older, I don't like that. But but I got that, and I've got, you were coming in, and I got to go get him, and I got another podcast tonight, and then I've got emails I got to get out, and this, that, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, hang on a second. Isn't this fucking cool, man? You get to do all this stuff. You get to do all this. It's all yours now. You own it. It's the way it is. Come on. There's no overlord. No one's yelling at you, breathing down your neck. You know what you can wait a minute on and give yourself a break and just enjoy it. Enjoy it. And if you go that way, it's the same thing. You can do it miserable. Yeah. Right? I got to fucking do this. Blah, 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 blah. Or I could do it this way. And that's just the way I...
Isn't it powerful, Bill? It really is, man. I think,
It's taken me a long time, Doc. If I wish I had this 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I didn't have this mindset then.
Yeah. I mean, you combine discipline with that little twist each and every day. Because, it starts over every morning. Right. And it's like, here we go again. Right. And that mindset can creep in. Right. And we just have to almost expect it. Right. And I love the way you framed all that. Here you are, a long, successful career. Now you're to the point where you've got your own thing. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. And you still have to convince yourself, like, I get to do this. I said the same thing this morning. I woke up. And I was going to do my little CrossFit thing, and I have Tranquility now, launching, new business, lots of challenges and lots of stuff involved there. And I could feel the pressure coming. Yeah. And I said to myself, you get to go. I literally said this morning. So it's funny you brought it up. I get to go to CrossFit. I get to build this company. Right. It's just, it sounds small, but it really makes a big difference.
It's all in the, I always, I will say, I think it's a bullshit thing to say to somebody, you got to think positively. Yeah, shove it up your ass, man. Do you know what I'm under? But so I think, how do we change that, right? Because that is the answer. Thinking more positively is not discipline to, I get to, a positive change. Yes, it is. So the other thing is, I would say, to me, in terms of all things in life, I just lost my train of thought because an email came in.
No problem.
God damn it. Where was I going with this? I was saying something about get to. You just said you get to. I'm going to edit this part out. You said you get to go to CrossFit.
Yep, and then you were talking about
positivity.
Right.
That's it. Think positively.
think positive. Yep.
Think positively. Well, I always think you can't. How do you do that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and there are teachers out there. I know that one of the guys who does a podcast regularly with me, Danny, likes Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins will say you got to change your state, and you can change it instantly, and he's not wrong. But what I would say is that it seems almost impossible, and sometimes you just get too frustrated. But can you go for the better feeling thought? So, I mean, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, but can I go for, however, you got to go generic. I got a roof over my head, whatever it is, and just sort of come up the emotional scale until all of a sudden you go, all right, this isn't so bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like baby steps along the way.
And there is an emotional scale, and it's good to recognize that. We can live in all kinds of mental states, like defeatism, sadness, motivation, just happiness, peace, longevity. There's a scale to that.
Yeah.
And we do have a bit of control over this just with choice and mindset.
Well, I always think that, the one thing that a lot of us always, what I'll say is burn calories on, is shit we can't control, right? Don't we spend a whole ton of shit doing things that we can't control at all? So, but that's where we go, wow, we got to, blah, blah, blah. No, what can you control? You can control how you feel, and how you feel is going to either bring in the good or the bad. Right? If you walk into a room, who doesn't love being around that guy goes, hey, man, how's it going today? Yep. Good to see you. Nice. Come on in. You feel better instead of being the guy, how's it going today? Well, I'm miserable. I got to go over here. I got to run here. I got no time. Who wants to deal with that asshole? Nobody. Right. Nobody. But you get to control that. What you can't necessarily control is how other people are acting and all that stuff. And, we try to change things that I think a lot of times are out of our control.
And it's really empowering to recognize that within ourselves.
Oh, I'm all about empowerment, Doc. I didn't even know it until you sat down.
It's funny as we're having this conversation. What's striking me about it is how common it is to all people.
Sure.
I was at a conference.
We're all one.
We're all one.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, we're all one. We're all human having
race.
The same experience.
Right. And I went to a conference, and it was really well done. It was about 4 years ago, and it was filled with a room of just very educated, successful, whether they were business or whatever their walk of life, but very educated, successful people. And the one woman was doing a presentation, and I forget the exact thing, to be honest with you, but the way she rolled it out, she basically was asking the audience, have you experienced something? There was a scenario, and did it make you feel a certain way? And so a number of hands went up, and she made us leave the hands up, and she went through about 4 or 5 different things. Anyway, I'll try to summarize. But when she was done, the whole room, you looked around the room, hands were up everywhere. And what it came down to is people were either feeling anger, shame, bitterness, unforgiveness, negativity, just things like that. So, but my point is, it was kind of a small bag of tricks. It was kind of like everybody was dealing with the same thing.
Sure.
It wasn't like it was a million different circumstances, life stories.
Right.
But it was being distilled.
Nobody got to the place on the same path necessarily, but they got to the same end result.
Correct. Yeah. And then the powerful ending was how we could change that, really along the lines of the conversation we're having.
Yeah.
You can turn that into a
lot of times with things with like shame, right? Shame is a projection from somebody else. You got to get to the point in your life where somebody else's opinion of you is none of your business. It's none of your business, because most of the time it's about them and not you, right?
Good point.
You know what I mean? And your mother is a great example for many people, maybe not you, but many people that would say shame, right? I don't want to shame. You can't live for somebody else. So your happiness can't come from somebody else. They're going to let you down 100% of the time, and I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just like, it's impossible. Yep. You're asking for somebody else to be like this. No, you have to be happy and happy with them, but that all has to come from inside. And
especially recognizing a lot of that's projection. It's their own projection onto us.
Yes, their projection, but how then we perceive it, and we do all this stuff. Everybody comes, I believe, like, this is how fucking weird I am. I don't believe that there's any real bad, right? And I know there's bad shit that's going on.
Right.
I understand. But and it's a very simple philosophical idea that there is no evil. There's just a privation of light, a privation of good, okay, over time. But we all came into this world from like pure positive light. And then everybody puts all their fears and their shit on us, and we get all fucked up, and we get away from that.
Yep.
Well, you got to get back to that.
The innocence,
Yeah, because when you croak, I think that all the resistance, all the ugly shit, it goes away, and that's the heaven. But you can have a little bit of that now. Mm-hmm. Stop living. You don't need to sacrifice. We don't have to punish ourselves, right? And we just don't need to be assholes to each other. So come on.
You hit the nail right on the head. You know, we start off life. You put a bunch of kids in a room together. They play. They love each other. They don't care about anything.
They don't care. That's it. That's exactly it.
It's incredible to watch, and we all experience it. So what happens to us over time? You know, we take on
prejudices, different things, distrust, all this, and we start to,
Now, imagine. Okay, so imagine maintaining that childlike sort of, remember you and I talked about insouciance that day, just sort of insouciance, lighthearted, love towards humanity, towards people, even when they take advantage of us. They all of the bad things that do come our way. How do we stay in that place?
Right.
You know, and I think that's, there's a formula in there for victory on some level.
Hang on.
Right.
The way you stay there. And I was going to pause because I didn't turn on the cameras today. I apologize, but we'll just keep rolling. What I'll do is I'll take a picture of you and we'll put it up with some stuff. But what I think that this leads to is, how do you stay there? Now, I have my routine, and I know that I don't know how you're going to feel about me saying this. There are many apps and things that can help you kind of go through some stuff. I think that meditating to me is great because it empties your mind and kind of gives you a little bit of a recharge. And in a way, I think it lets you download things like, true inspiration, true thing, the right path, all that stuff. But again, for many people, you need a coach. And you're building a business that will really help people and coach them. And sometimes some people, it's just impossible in their day. You got kids or jobs, or you got to get up, or maybe you overslept. But you offer a space now that kind of lets people get back to that, to exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Tranquility.
That's it, right? Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, tranquility now. And that's what we're doing there. Part of it is the mindset. And that's the meditative piece. We're using something called binaural beats, but it's for, most people recognize they have to get control of their thought life, their deep inner feelings, emotional state, all these things. And so they philosophically agree that I should practice meditation and that type of thing.
Yes.
But it's difficult. Yeah. People's minds races. Our minds race. We try to do it. We're well-intentioned, and it just doesn't work. So that's where the science of binaural beats, and that's something we're offering at Tranquility.
What is binaural beats for people? If you try to give me like a dummy. Explain to a dummy. Okay,
so the big picture, you brought up Tranquility. The big picture there is combining automated massage with guided meditation to the point that you brought up, that people don't have time, or frazzled, or running all over the place. Well, what if you could have one-stop shopping to do it all? Okay. So that's just the big picture. But as far as binaural beats, we're using a guided meditation technology called Brain Tap. Okay. And binaural beats means that it's an audible journey, right? It's a guided meditation, audible journey. And so a message is being delivered in a certain tone and frequency. So one tone will be in a certain frequency, entering, let's say, the right ear, and in the left ear, the person would be experiencing another tone in a slightly different frequency. So, for example, maybe the right ear is 320 hertz. And the other ear is 360 hertz. Well, the brain says, well, I don't like the difference here in the tones. I'm going to make a third phantom tone at 40 hertz and make my own. So that's the definition of a binaural beat. And what's so important about it is it takes the person through it induces a certain mindset. So there's beta, delta, theta. Right. So it takes a person from beta all the way to theta. That's what's so amazing about it. So, average person comes in, says, I need, my mind change, I need positivity or whatever it is, but but I'm having trouble with it. So if they go through this process, it induces the mind state effortlessly. And that's what's so cool. It'll take a person from beta to theta. The difference between that, you want me to talk a little bit about the difference between beta, theta?
Well, beta and theta are different frequencies in the brain, and you kind of get deeper and deeper into thought. And those who,
that's it.
Jose Silva was a guy who did a lot of mind control stuff, but mind control not to control your mind, but to actually control your own mind, right? You know what I'm saying? And it would help you when it was helping people with their memory and things. And if you can get into those frequencies, I believe that the bigger part of us this is going to sound fucking nuts to people, but I believe that we are a frequency, right? We are.
I actually don't disagree with
Everything's
that.
a vibration. We are a frequency, and the larger part of us is vibrational. And if what you think about is what you get. So if you stay right in the what is, you'll never get out of it. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not such a fan of talk therapy. And I know that there are people who do very well with it, and it has helped them, and I am very happy that has happened. But I think a lot of times when we do something like talk therapy, you wind up staying in the problem, right?
Going round and around and around.
You go around the block a bunch of times, and you're sort of stuck in the mud. Yep. Nothing gets better. And how you doing this? I can't get over it. And so they try to give you strategies, but some of those strategies aren't things. And my thing is, I would rather, go for the better feeling thought, right? Even if you have someone in your life that is really shitty to you, or you feel is shitty to you, try to find positive aspects about that person. That doesn't mean that you need to hang out with them or do anything. I'm not saying that. But I guarantee if you start thinking of the positive aspects, like, well, they're this, or they're funny, or they're whatever, you'll get more of that and less of the bullshit when you see them. It's a weird thing, but it is all vibrational. So when you're talking about the frequencies, and the brain runs on frequencies, right? Yep. So there's a science there in terms of what we're bring it in, bring it out. It's a weird thing.
It's a wild, weird.
It really is.
Right?
But I mean, it does help calm people, give them clarity. But then you got to keep it up.
Well, I mean, and to think of us the way you frame that, we're energy, light, vibration beings.
Yeah.
We're giving off like a frequency.
Yes.
And so can we control that? Can we shift that towards positive? And I think that goes back to the childhood innocency thing we were talking about. They're just vibing at a high level of not thinking anything negative.
Pure positive, man.
Seeing the purity in people. One kid could come by and steal your toy, and I don't know, you might go back and try to get it, but you're not thinking evil thoughts towards the child.
No.
So it's really incredible, and I think that's part of the maturation process in life, is starting to recognize all these things, seeing the changes in ourselves, and we all pendulum swing over into that space a little bit where we don't want to be, and we recognize it, and the challenge is, okay, I need to go back and operate at this higher positive frequency.
So I go into frequency, and you said there's massage and?
Yes. Yep. So massage and guided meditation
at the same time.
We put it all together. Yep. So the
God, it sounds like the greatest escape.
It's like a human car wash, honestly.
Yeah.
I keep telling people.
That's a great analogy.
They really, and it's designed for busy people who don't have time, and there's a place for all of it. Like we're not trying to replace the massage therapist. There's a place and time for everybody. However, that being said, some people are pressed for time. Economic hardship these days is a reality, and they don't. And some people, I don't want to take 3 hours in my morning. I don't want to remove my clothing. I don't want messy oils. I don't want those things. So we have a private space. People come into Tranquility now. They head back to. We have 7 chairs back there, all private Tranquility suites. The door closes, the lighting's down, the music is at a certain frequency that's calming. So it's just very, very calming, the whole atmosphere as soon as people walk in. But they have their own little spot, and you go into something called automated massage. So it's full body, including the bottoms of the feet. So these people are experiencing foot reflexology plus full body massage in a half hour, which is about the equivalent of a 90-minute massage. Right, if you think about it, right?
Sure,
a therapist has 2 hands, so they go from the shoulder to the hip to the leg. It takes an hour to get through the human body. So in this case, everything's done in a half hour, and then we added the meditation piece in on top of it. And so I guess, for lack of a better word, human car wash. But,
Yeah.
our clients are leaving going, they're just raving. I mean, really, they really are. They're like, I just can't believe how good I feel right now because it's the power of touch, working out the kink, so to speak, and then getting the mindset right. All in a 1.5-hour experience. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's the only one in the country. People ask me that all the time. They walk in, they go, wow, what franchise is this?
Yeah.
And we go, it's not a franchise. And I say, well, where did it come from? And it was just my creation after having been a chiropractor and then going through COVID. I just kind of looked out there, Bill, like probably you did and most other people, and just said, the world is really, I feel, experiencing more stress than ever before. And they need a resource, a trusted resource where they can come in, save time, save money, be right back out to your life and be more productive and, and have a good day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's great. If it's anything that's going to just help people feel better, because that's it. Your emotions are your guidance system. They're your I don't know whatever guidance ways. They're your ways.
Your North Star, right?
Yeah, I mean that's it. It's your and that tells you. And so if you're feeling like this and you can't get out of the feeling, go to Tranquility. A half hour later, you probably feel great.
And that's my brand.
Day.
That's my brand promise. So can I talk a little bit about the logo actually?
Yeah, sure.
And then tie it into that statement you just made.
Sure.
So the logo is actually the lotus flower. And the story of the lotus flower is it's a flower that grows underground. It's in the mud. It's enduring hardship. It's difficult. It's dark. It's wet. It's all those things. And then eventually it emerges through the soil. It comes out and it starts to unfold. But it's still muddy. Doesn't look really good until the first rainfall. The rainfall washes off the mud, and all of a sudden the flower is left just one of the most beautiful flowers on earth. So kind of to your point, that's exactly what Tranquility now is. People walk in. There's the mud from the day, the stress, the anxiety, the this, the that, the deadlines, and they do their thing in this little suite, half-hour guided meditation, automated massage, and they leave going, I feel like that was the rainfall. I'm walking back out into my life feeling better. Yeah. So our tagline is, you don't need Tranquility in an hour, you need Tranquility right now. So it's on demand. I guess I'll just plug the mobile app since we're on the topic, but because I think it's relevant to the conversation. But there's a mobile app. So when I was building this, one of the things I felt was important is serving, like, as an example, moms or executives like yourself or anybody else, where our days go up and down every day. We kind of, we have unpredictable days oftentimes. So all of a sudden the day opens up and you're like, I have a half hour. Well, I want to get in and see my therapist. Well, good luck with that. You're booking out forever. But with Tranquility, you open up the mobile app. Literally, it's 2 clicks. It's usually there within 15 minutes. You can be driving by, and you just show up and come right in the door and experience your Tranquility, and then back out to your 4 o'clock appointment, whatever it is.
I know that when you think about that, you go, well, I can't do that. It's selfish. It's this. If you aren't selfish about self-care, you're no good to anybody else. You're just not. You've got to spend some time doing something for you. If you don't have at least 10 minutes for yourself, you don't have a life. Yeah. So a half hour, you waste more time looking at Instagram, which then frustrates you. Because you're seeing what your friends are doing. They're taking the best pictures and they look like they're having the best life. And now you're pissed off and you need Tranquility now, right?
That's it.
That's the way it is.
Oh, it's so true. And that's self-love. Yeah, man, you hit all the right points. And you're right. They will sit there on Instagram or scrolling and there's your half hour. You know what I'm saying?
You could have gone in. I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, how many of us have not fallen down the social media rabbit hole? It's one of the worst things that ever happened to humanity.
And that's why I keep bringing up moms. Moms are the ones, and I have this heart for moms for some reason. They put everybody first.
Me too.
They put.
But they do. You're right. And they're running around. Yep. And how I know more guys who go to work, come home, and they don't do anything. Right? She's doing all the heavy lifting and probably working and getting the kids to here, getting the kids to there. A little Tranquility now.
Yeah, and that self-care.
Encourage your wife to go. She'll be better to you.
There you go. That's right. But, that self-care is what I think, because I think you hit on another real, you're so good at elucidating deep and profound, important topics, such as what you just said, which was, if you don't practice self-care, then what do you actually have left to give to people?
Nothing.
Right.
Not a goddamn thing. And you have to do that for yourself. You have to.
And they're running on fumes, and you can look the part and sound the part, but inside you're hurting.
Right.
And you need restoration.
Right. And believe me, at some point you're going to snap at them, or you're not going to listen, or they're going to frustrate you.
That's it.
And if you just went and Tranquility Now or did something, you're going to feel better. You went and got your spine adjusted and then took a walk, you're going to feel better.
And, I always found it was interesting. People study different texts and different things. And there's a lot of them out there. But there's that one statement in the Bible that goes, love God and love your neighbor like yourself. Remember that one?
Yes.
And everybody has different philosophy, so I'm not getting philosophical here. But when you break that down, you can't do the first two unless you love yourself.
Yes.
It's like it almost hinges on that.
Right.
And so my definition of self-love is self-care.
Right.
What are we doing to take care of ourselves,
Right.
basically?
And that's it. And you're providing 2 places that you can do that.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
it.
that's great.
Yep.
Well, I think this has been fun.
Yeah.
A little
I loved
bonus
it.
episode. You walked in. Look what we did. We talked for almost 40 minutes here.
Super cool.
Yeah,
Super
it's very good. All right, for Dr. William Ferris, who has Tranquility Now, and also what's the chiropractic business? Forgive me?
Modern chiropractic and pain relief in Victor.
Yep, Modern Chiropractic and Pain Relief in Victor. Get yourself healthy from your mind to your spine with Dr. Ferris. I'm Bill Moran.
Iron Smoke Distillery, the internationally acclaimed New York State farm distillery at ironsmokedistillery.com.
Jimmy Z's Plates and Shakes, Rockin' Brockport, and maybe your backyard with the food truck, Danny.
Bring the truck.
Oh, if you got a big party coming on, as Jimmy likes to say, a backyard banger.
Yeah.
Or maybe you got a corporate picnic going on at some point this summer.
Just invite the truck and save the cleanup.
That's right.
Yeah.
Platesandshakes.com. I like that. Invite the truck and save the cleanup. They even do drop-off catering or pick-up catering that you can have for any kind of party as well, and you'll find out all that information. It's handled by Poppy over there at platesandshakes.com. Right there on Main Street in Brockport, it's Jimmy Z's Plates and Shakes, and online at platesandshakes.com.